Now this question is slightly different, right? There's a subtle difference. Well, it takes 5 workers 7 hours to make 200 locks. That's fine. But this time I want to know how many hours it takes 10 workers, we've got extra workers, to make 500 locks. Right? There's a lot more now. It's not the same job anymore. It's 2 different jobs. Right? So let's focus on the first line. Right? Just focus on the first line. Forget the second line for now. Let's focus on the first line. We've got 5 workers. Number of workers, we have 5. Hours worked, each person works 7 hours. So that's 5 times 7, 35 man hours. To get this job done, which job? I'm talking about these 200 locks, to make 200 locks. All right, that's pretty easy. But the thing is, right, that's for 200 locks, right? 35 man hours to make 200 locks. But the thing is, with this time we have got not 200 locks, we have actually got 500 locks. Okay, it's a lot more now. Remember, it takes 35 man hours to make 200 locks. I want to know how many man hours it will take to make 500 locks. So what's the multiplier? Okay, 500 divided by 200, 500 divided by 200 is 2.5. So 200 times 2.5 gives you 500, right? More than double. 200 times 2.5 gives you the 500. So what have you done this side? Do it on the other side. Over here, I've got 87.5 man hours. So to make 500 locks, it requires, to get this type of job done, 500 locks, it requires 87.5 man hours. You then get to decide however many workers you need to get that job done, right? The more people you have, right, the less they'll have to work, the less number of hours, fewer number of hours they need to work. But in the question, if you look at the second sentence now, right, in the second sentence, over here, we've actually got 10 workers. 10 workers, 10. Number of hours, we don't know yet. That's what we're going to determine. Times something to give you 87.5 man hours. Remember, that's how long it'll take to get 500 locks done, 87.5 hours to get 500 locks completed. So then you do 87.5 divided by 10, inverse operation, should get 8.75 hours. Each of those 10 workers will have to work 8 3/4 of an hour to complete 500 locks, and that's providing they all work at the same rate. Right, for this question, I've changed the wording ever so slightly. Right, still got 5 workers. Each worker works 7 hours to make 200 locks. I've done all the calculation already. We've already determined that it is 35 man hours. I've done the calculation, but look at the subtle difference now. Right, I've got 500 locks. Right, so the job is a lot bigger. It's a different job. It's a lot bigger. But my company policy, right, is that no worker should work more than 7 hours. So we're keeping 7 hours locked. I need to know how many workers I need, right? People in my company don't work, and this company doesn't work. They don't work more than 7 hours. So I'll need to find out how many workers there are, right? So here's the 7 hours. Right, we've already determined that the man hours is 87.5 man hours, right? We've already calculated that. We want to know how many workers I'll need to get the job done. So all I've got to do is now 87.5, inverse operation, divided by 7. I need 12.5 workers. obviously I'm not going to get 12 and a bit workers. I'd rather get 13 workers. Okay, the impact of that, okay, even though I need 12 and a half workers, me having 13 workers will make each worker work slightly less than the 7 hours.